Yeah, good evening, everybody. So, how are you and how are the studies going on? Just give me 1 second. Hanji. So, I did not get any response. How are the studies going on? Any questions, any doubts from whatever we have discussed so far? Any queries? So as no questions are coming up, we're starting with the discussion for today. I discussed with you in the last class about inventory management and also about debtors management, that is also called the credit policy of the company. Now in that we had discussed with you some of the questions on debtors management, but to my great surprise, when I was checking the last examination question paper in new syllabus, I could see that there were 3 questions from debtors management in the last examination. Now it's very surprising. 3 questions from the same topic coming in the examination and 1 full question on working capital management. That made a weightage of around 40% of the question paper, more than 40% rather, coming from this particular chapter. Now this is a little too much, but this is something which is a fact as well. I have included some of the questions in today's discussion from the last exam, and all of them are practical questions. So almost 40 mark practical question coming from this chapter in the last examination. I think that was a little too much of imbalance in the question paper. Now so far as FTFM question paper is concerned, this is something which has been very common. So therefore you never know which particular topic will become very important for a particular examination. Though all the questions that came in the examination were based upon the pattern which we had already discussed in the classes and which we have discussed in this batch as well, but then it becomes a little difficult for the students to accept so many questions coming from one particular topic. But that is a fact, and this is something which we have observed in many other exams, many other exams of the same paper, FTFM. So here, and as I think Nikhila was also saying that this is one chapter where at times if a particular student takes time to understand, then it takes a little longer to understand these concepts. So basically what I have to say is that every chapter in FTFM is very important, because you never know from which particular chapter the question paper would be asked, and at times any chapter can take more than 20-25%. It is very common. So therefore you have to be very particular with respect to each and every chapter. You cannot say that this chapter has got more weightage or that chapter has got more weightage. Every chapter has got equal chance, and when I do the second round of exam preparatory with you, at that time I would be taking the most important chapters from where there are more chances of getting, a 35-40 mark paper. Amongst them, as I am going to announce right now only, the chapters would be working capital management, chapters would be security analysis and portfolio management, foreign exchange management, and derivatives. Out of these chapters, you never know when the question paper is skewed towards these topics, right? So and one another one can be your capital budgeting. So if you look at the syllabus that I'm talking about, I think I'm covering almost the entire syllabus from the chapters like dividend policy, capital structure, cost of capital. We have been getting papers, we have been getting questions, but in most of the situations, the per chapter weightage will not go beyond 10 marks. Whether it is dividend policy or it is capital structure, or it is between 10 to 15 marks, not more than that. But with respect to the other chapters, like working capital and all other chapters which I've discussed with you, in some examination working capital will be more than 25 marks, in another examination foreign exchange will be more than 20-25 marks. In certain papers, derivatives will take that particular place. So therefore, with these chapters, which are the chapters which I'm going to start with you now onwards, you have to be very, very particular. Please practice all the questions that I do in the classes very, very thoroughly. At least, these questions which I'm doing in the classes, you should be thorough with them. Thorough means that if the question comes on similar lines, not exactly the same question is going to come in the examination, but if a question comes on similar lines, you should be able to do it 100% correct. Okay? So that is what is the level of confidence, and then you have to do some more questions as well. This thing will not end over here. You will have to do more questions, but at least this much you have to do. Okay? Just 1 second. I just need the PPT to be uploaded now. We've already discussed about the production order quantity model. PPT is taking some time to get uploaded because it has become a heavy file now. You can just revise the concepts as the PPT is getting uploaded. Maybe I'll have to stop the video so that the PPT uploads faster. Just a second. Ganesh is asking, ma'am, theory questions are also expected or only practical are more important in working capital management? In working capital management, I think practical questions are more important. There are very few theory questions which can be asked. But yes, I would not say that theory is never asked. If at all theory comes, it is for 5 marks only. But the practical can range between 20 to 40, 45 marks as well. Ma'am, explain these graphs are necessary or we can do without it. You can do without it as well, but if you do it with the graphs, I think it becomes all the more clarificatory and all the more interesting. But if you are making a graph, you need to explain that as well. So it should not be that you're simply making a graph and not explaining it. You have to explain the graph very, very clearly, and if you do not use the graph, then also it is fine. It is for better clarity. No issues, so you can skip with the graph, no problem. I just want it to be loaded very fast because it is taking so much of our time. may take another 3-4 minutes for us to, come to the slide that I'm looking forward to. Nowadays, starting from ATLP to FTFM, you're teaching all the vast chapters. So now I have built up your patience to take up those vast concepts. You should also have the patience to bear a lot of discussion, isn't it? Today we'll be finishing off with working capital management, and I'll be starting with you the security analysis concept as well, but I'm just wishing that this PPT uploads a little faster. So we are at debtors management. In the last class I was discussing this concept with you, and we discussed that debtors are whatever money is lying in the debtors, it can be a cost to the company, and we have to measure this cost and find out different situations under which we can make maximum benefit. So it's like a cost benefit analysis that we were doing in the case of debtors management, that if we give a higher credit period to the debtors, will the debtors be will we be able to reduce the bad debts, and will we be able to increase our sales? So on those aspects we have been discussing in the last class, right? And we did some of the practical questions as well. Now today I would be first discussing with you a question where we would be trying to create a credit matrix, because that is also one of the ways to monitor the debtors, not exactly to manage the debtors, but to monitor the debtors. So starting with the question where I was trying to reach to, it says Ash Limited follows collection policy as detailed below. 10% of the sales is collected in the same month, 20% of the sales is collected in the second month, 40% of the sales are collected in the third month, and 30% of the sales are collected in the fourth month. Sales of the company for the first 3 quarters for the year are as follows. So you have been given the sales of the company for the first 3 quarters, and in that also you have also been given the month of the quarter. So in quarter 1, month 1, the sale is 15,000 rupees, right? So this is 1, 2, 3 is the month of the quarter, and these are the quarter numbers 1, 2 and 3. So in all the quarters you are selling 45,000, you are making sales worth 45,000 rupees. But then you have to find out the average age of receivables. You have to find out the average age of receivables. Now from this particular question you would say, how am I going to find out the average age of receivables? Let us do one thing. Let us first assume that if we make a sale of rupees 100 in a particular month, in that situation, how are we going to collect it? Now the question was clear. 10% we are going to collect in the same month, 20% in the second month, 40% in the third month, and 30% in the fourth month. And I have to find out the average age of receivables per quarter. Now supposing if I decide, if I take 100 rupees as the sale for every month in the quarter. So in the same month I'm going to collect 10%, in the second month I'm going to collect 20%, and in the third month I'm going to collect 40%, right? And balance at the end of the month would be 30%. Now for the second month, because now I'm talking about a quarter, for the second month of the quarter, Now I'm going to collect 10% in the second month itself, then 20% in the next month, and remaining 70%, because I'm talking about the end of the quarter. So remaining 70% I'm going to collect at the end of the quarter. Then in the third month only 10% is going to be recovered in the third month, and the balance is going to be at the end of the quarter. Now, so recoverables at the end of quarter one, if I have to find out, it would be, these are my sales, 15,000, 15,000 and 15,000 per month has been given to me in the question. You can see it here, 15,000, 15,000 and 15,000 in quarter one. Now out of this 15,000, for the sales which I have done in the first month, by the end of the quarter, 70% of it would have been recovered and 30% is balance. You can see it here. 30% is balance. Second month sale, 70% is balance. And third month sale, 90% is balance at the end of the quarter. Right? So, the balance amount at the end of the quarter is 28,500 rupees. 28,500 rupees. Now, let me go to the second month sales, second quarter sales. Second quarter sales are 7,500, 15,000 and 22,500. So again, I use the same formula. I'm going to recover 70%, 30% and 10% for every month, and balance is here. So my balance amount at the end of the second quarter would be 33,000, because this amount of 28,500 I would recover, right? I would be recovering by the fourth month. So I'm not going to add this. Only 33,000 would be remaining at the end of the quarter. Then I go to the third quarter. My amount recoverable, my sales are 22,500, 15,000 and 7,500. I have recovered 70%, 30% and 10% for the 3 months. Balance is this. So my total, which is balance amount, is 24,000 rupees. Now I have to find out my average age of receivables. For the first quarter, my average age is 28,500, which is the outstanding debtors at the end of the quarter, divided by 45,000, which is my sale for that particular quarter, multiplied by 90. So as we do it for every year, we can now do it for every quarter. So in the first quarter, I am receiving, my average age of the debtors is 57 days. I am receiving my payment after 57 days. In the second quarter, I have my outstanding debtors of 33,000 on a sale of 45,000 rupees for 90 days. So it becomes 66 days. So average age of receivables is 66 days in the second case. And in the third case, my outstanding amount is 24,000. My sales was again 45,000 and the period was 90 days. So my average age of receivables is 48 days. So that means that my recovery speed is lowest in quarter 2, because in quarter 2 you can see most of the sales happened in the third month, right? You can see that most of the sales happened in the third month, and that is why, and as I am receiving only 10% in the initial month, so my quarter 2 sales are my collection in quarter 2 is the slowest. Are you able to follow? Is it? Now this kind of a question has not been asked for a very long time in the examination, but this is also one of the ways where we can look at the trends and we can try and understand how the company is performing with respect to its credit policy, and that is how the outstanding also becomes. Whatever we sell at the later part of the year, it becomes like if in case of a particular company, assuming a company is having a seasonal business and it has got most of its sales in the last quarter of the year, say in January, those into woolen fabrics and all those kinds of businesses, those who are winter based businesses, in that situation most of their the balance sheets would always be having a very high level of current assets, because if the balance sheet is closing on 31st of March, so the level of debtors, the level of inventory may be higher. March generally is not that very cold, but still as compared to the entire year, their stock levels would be highest in January, then slightly lower than that in February, and then in the March it would be comparatively lower. But as I said, that this balance sheet as on a particular date, when you look at it, it does not give you a very clear picture, because whatever we've been doing throughout the year is not clear when we look at the balance sheet as on a particular date. This question I had already discussed with you, so I'm not going into it again. This is the question now I wanted to discuss. Prince Vision Limited has current all credit sales of rupees 36 lakhs with average collection period of 30 days. 36 lakhs is the sale for the year and average collection period is 30 days. So at a particular point of time, what is the amount of debtors? Anybody? What is the amount of debtors here? Anybody who wants to say? How can it be 1,20,000, Ganesh? It is 3 lakh rupees. Very good. It is 3 lakh rupees. भाई सिंपल सी बात है, इसको यूं देखो कि एक साल की सेल है 36 लाख रुपए और एक महीने का आउटस्टैंडिंग है. सो 36 lakhs divided by 12. And if you want to do 36 lakhs divided by 30, then you have to multiply it with 360. नहीं 36 lakhs divided by 30 तो करने का मतलब ही नहीं बनता. 36 lakhs divided by 360 multiplied by 30 आप कर सकते हैं. You're getting my point, Ganesh? Because 36 lakhs is your annual sales. तो आप या तो डेली निकाल लीजिए, राइट, और उसके बाद आप मंथली निकाल लीजिए, या फिर आप सीधा मंथली निकाल लीजिए. So 36 lakhs divided by 12 is equals to 3 lakhs is your amount of debtors. The company is planning to introduce a cash discount policy. 365 पर नहीं लीजिए, 360 पे लीजिए. The calculation will become easier. The company is planning to introduce a cash discount policy of 2/10 net 30. Now what does this mean? Cash discount policy of 2/10 net 30 means that if you make the payment to the company within a period of 10 days, the company will give you a discount of 2%. But if you make the payment within 30 days, then you will have to make the full payment, right? So if you have purchased goods worth rupees 100 from the company and you make the payment within a period of 10 days, then you get 2% discount. So you will be required to pay only 98 rupees. But if you make the payment after 10 days and within 30 days, in that situation, you would be required to pay full amount of rupees 100. Okay? As a result, the company expects the average collection period to go down to 15 days and 80% of the sales to opt for the cash discount policy. So company is planning to introduce this policy that if somebody gives the payment in 10 days, he would be getting a 2% discount, and company is expecting that 80% of the sales will opt this policy, and in that situation, the average collection period will go down to 15 days. If the company's required rate of return on investment in debtors is 20%, should it introduce the new discount policy? Okay. Now what the company is saying that, okay, you give us the payment in 10 days and we'll give you 2% discount. So in that situation, the company is expecting that the collection period will go down to 15 days. Now if the collection period will go down to 15 days, what would be the amount of debtors? Right now the amount of debtors is 3 lakhs. This is what you have calculated. If the period goes down to 15 days, what will be the amount of debtors? Anybody? It's a simple question. If the average collection period is 30 days, you said that the amount of debtors is 3 lakhs. If the period would be 15 days, the amount would be 1,50,000. So that means the company would be able to save 20% interest on rupees 1,50,000 for a period of 15 days. Right? Am I right? ठीक है ना जी.